Alrighty, Grand Rising, good afternoon and good evening, y'all. Thank you in advance for your viewership and support. Whatever time you click on this video is the right time for you. And y'all, we are now in the part 6 of Life After Puffy. This was a request that I got late last night after I got off of a live. Shout out to everybody that comes to my lives on Wednesday. I thought it was an excellent suggestion, so I pushed it right on into the queue. This episode of Life After Puffy is on none other than Jonathan Odie. Jonathan Odie was a guy who got arrested for, a violent gun crime. I want to say maybe around 5-6 years ago. And I believe it was at Trump Tower. But when he was arrested, this man got to telling all types of information to the Dade County Police. I believe he was in Dade County. Please correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong. I know it was Florida, but I believe it was the Dade County Police. He began to tell them all types of stories about Sean Combs, Diddy, Puffy, whatever you want to call him. And he talked about being, a sex worker for he and Cassie. He talked about how he had contracted an STI from the situation. He spoke about DJ Khaled and Rick Ross. And he talked about how all these people were involved in trafficking, of substances. And he appeared to definitely be under the influence for sure. So I think that the officers did not take him serious because maybe they thought that, hey, this guy is on something, so he might be talking out of his head. But you can't put anything past, anything with this situation, with this magnitude, because there has been law enforcement involved from what I've seen in a lot of these situations to help things stay under wraps. So it could have been that one of these officers may have been a part of some things allegedly, or they just honestly thought that, hey, this man is really on some zoom zooms and wham whams, and I don't know if we could take what he's saying serious. But fast forward, Diddy ends up under investigation for the very things that this man spoke of. And the video of his interrogation went viral. And it caught the attention of the authorities that are investigating Diddy. And they decided to bring him in as a witness. So thank you for everyone who listened, because I wanted to get people up to speed who may not be in the know of Jonathan Odie and why he's being added into the series. So now that I've given you the backstory on Jonathan Odie, I can go ahead and tap into the energy that is around Jonathan Odie. Thank you for your patience. And if someone would ever be so kind as to timestamp this reading, please timestamp it for the 4-minute and 25-second mark. Please and thank you. And I'll pin it in the comments. Angels, spirit guides, and ancestors of the highest heavenly order, please tap me into the energy around Jonathan Odie. Show me the energy around Jonathan Odie now that he is living life after Puffy. Okay, so wow. we've got the Eight of Swords here coming out. And Eight of Swords represents, you know, being apprehended, being locked up, also being held against your will. And if you look at this woman here in this bubble, this is a woman who is unable to, you know, get out of that bubble, meaning she's being, you know, held against her will in a situation that could possibly be, you know, carnally compromising. I'm trying my best, y'all, to be creative with these descriptions so that things don't get flagged. So to me, that represents Cassie. Okay, woman being held against her will. Forced to do things intimately. And also the Eight of Swords represents imprisonment. So that first card literally summed up my description of Jonathan Odie when he was speaking to the police in the interrogation room. He was, you know, in custody himself, but it's verifying the stories that he was telling about Cassie. Cassie was being held against her will, and that this was a very high level secret. Okay, the high priestess with the moon over her head, very, very high level secret. At the time, this was not public knowledge to people outside of the industry that had happened to her, especially to the level in which he described it. Okay, so we got the King of Coins and the Five of Coins. So this is showing me that, you know, he may have gotten off into this line of work due to, you know, possibly being homeless, being very destitute, okay? But he definitely went from, you know, being in King of Pentacles energy back down to Five of Pentacles. So how he even ended up in a situation where he was apprehended in the first place, it's like he had literally went from sugar to shit. Okay? Everything that was in his life at one point in time, he was doing very well, doing this exotic type of adult work. And then it was like the rug was snatched from up under him. And he ended up in a robbing Peter to pay Paul situation. How did he get there? Okay, so it's like the ultimate betrayal that came out of a wish fulfillment. Tell me more. How did he get there? Knight of Cups, Two of Wands. So it's attached to a romantic offer or a gesture. Excuse me, gesture. That's not what I meant to say. A gesture, rather, that came out of a choice that was made to take an offer. Okay. So it feels like after he did the FOs, okay, because here it is, King of Wands, okay? King of Wands, hustler, go-getter, also hypersexual, someone who may, you know, use their wand for their hustle. And at that time, he was considered to be, you know, a very attractive man. I feel like when he got to jail, he was a shell of himself. Part of why they didn't listen to him is because he didn't look the way that he used to look. Hence the Five of Pentacles, him hitting rock bottom, hitting hard times. He definitely did not look the way that he looked when he was, you know, hired for these things. But it feels like his life took a turn. It flipped upside down. Things went downhill for him after he was involved in the FOs. So how did his life go down after being involved in these FOs? Okay, so we've got heartbreak here. And being that this woman, interesting enough, I never paid attention to her jewelry before. This is a very well-kept woman. But this choker around her neck, okay, It appears to be jury, but that is a restraint to keep her from talking. Okay. It's like having a yoke around her neck. So once he encountered Diddy and Cassie, it's like he went off into like a dark night of the soul. He was sorry that he even got involved. Okay, the hermit mode. So he ended up in deep reflection about everything that he had been a part of. Um, it, Not to say that he wasn't already partying and partaking in certain substances because of the type of life that he was living, the type of things that he was into, but it's like this was the definite turn for the worst, okay? And the stoic look on this woman's face, you know, she looks very well kept, but very unhappy at the same time. Yeah, Eight of Wands. It's like after this event, after dealing with them, after working for Diddy, everything started happening really fast. Eight of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck represents the work card. So even the way that he was contacted, it felt like it was out of nowhere. He was even shocked that he was selected for this job. But look at this. This is the epitome of all money ain't good money. You got the Page of Cups here and the Ten of Coins. He was sorry that he ever even got involved in this situation. It's like I went into it because it was going to be big money. It was going to be the fancy, shiny people. This was going to possibly be, you know, one of the highest paying gigs that he had, you know, possibly been able to land. Okay. But shortly after getting involved in this situation, he surely regretted it. So you've got the World here, which represents an end of a cycle, okay? A cycle closing, and it falls under the Eight of Swords. So that lets me know that once he told this story, you know, Cassie had already been away from Diddy. Okay, that cycle had closed. She had already left. But this is like, you know, he knew that he was continuing to be watched. He felt very paranoid about being watched. And this isn't the first person, that energy that I've tapped in around him, that is afraid of being watched, knowing that they're being seen everywhere they go, or, you know, being concerned about, you know, some type of surveillance. Like he has a lot of, it's almost like, what is that the Will Smith movie, I think it was called like Enemy of the State, where it was all types of state-of-the-art surveillance, like from satellites and all types of weird places. So it drove him nuts. Like he knew he was being watched in every facet, every area of his life. It was nowhere he could go without being seen. Why was he so worried about being watched? This happened after he was cut off from the King of Coins. So he may have been, you know, allegedly terminated from his employment out of nowhere. And it could have been, you know, a byproduct of him being paranoid of being watched and, you know, being stressed out, taking substances because he was so worried about being watched. But I'm seeing there's a betrayal here. Like, Diddy may have allegedly gotten this man fired. What is this betrayal? Please explain it to me, please, and thank you. The Palace of Swords. So, Palace of Swords represents communication. Swords also represent law enforcement. So, oh wow, he felt like he also could have been double-crossed and betrayed by people that were in high places in law enforcement. Now, I picked up on this energy when I first started this reading, that someone in law enforcement could have been involved. Baby, this rabbit hole goes deep. No wonder he was worried about being watched in every possible facet, because law enforcement may have allegedly been involved. Knight of Wands, okay? So now it's like he has to second guess every job that he takes, the decisions that he makes, even in his line of work with this Knight of Wands, because, you know, he was a adult, you know, worker, sex worker, okay? All because of this opportunity that he took. So he had to be careful about the opportunities he took after he, you know, stepped away from this situation, because he had no idea who the opportunities were being presented by. There's something that he's seen, something that happened during this encounter that led to paranoia on Puffy's side, that he did not want to be communicated or, you know, shared in any shape, form, or fashion with anyone, okay? Here's the King of Cups, and he falls under the Heartbreak card, the heartbroken woman, because remember I told you, look at this woman. Damn, y'all, look at this. I can't make this up. For any of you that have seen Jonathan Odie, look at this card. This almost looks like him when he was in the interrogation room, but this will be the card for Puffy. So here it is, this heartbroken woman. Like I said, very well taken care of woman. But you can see that she is extremely unhappy. And that's what it was. He had compassion in somehow, some way about the situation with Cassie. There was something about it that just did not sit right with him. He didn't like the type of environment or situation that she was in. It's like he could tell that she was like a bird in a cage, a gilded cage. And he felt very deeply for her sorrow and what she was going through. Even though he didn't know her, he knew that that situation just did not feel right. I'm getting not a willing participant, okay? She was not a actual willing participant, and this challenged his faith, okay? And this is what caused things to spiral in his life from there. It burned an image into his head, made him rethink about the life that he was living. You know, he was enjoying his life, not necessarily just because he was, you know, getting paid to, you know, get his rocks off, but his life was relatively comfortable until this moment. Eight of Cups. Yeah, so he swiftly decided to separate himself from this situation, because it's like it became a burden for him. It brought very, very heavy, you know, mental and emotional baggage. Okay, things that he saw. This is why he wanted to move forward. He felt, you know, compelled in some type of way to get away from this situation. I don't know if Jonathan Odie is Catholic, but I'm getting that energy. Like if he's not Catholic, maybe a grandmother, someone around him is Catholic, because I am hearing like a priest saying the Spirit of Christ compels you. I'm seeing an older woman kiss a cross, like a crucifix, and do the sign of the cross, like she has it around her neck like a necklace. So I'm getting the energy of he literally had a come to Jesus moment. Like whatever he saw, whatever he experienced in that instant made him really start to rethink a lot that was going on in his life. It, believe it or not, it traumatized him. Yeah, he the sorry card, the Page of Cups falls on top of the Chariot. He he was sorry he even got involved. He wanted to move as far away from this situation as possible. Like I said, everything about this situation, the energy around this situation, dealing with the devil himself, Diddy, because that's the energy that I get. He felt like he literally met the devil himself. He felt like he had encountered, oh, how do I say this? He had encountered a carnal situation to where he felt like he copulated with the devil himself, and this brought heavy burdens around him, and it led to this Five of Pentacles energy to where he ended up, you know, spiraling and losing everything, being outcast. It had cycles come to an end for him, and this is what brought him to that energy that got him locked up and had him in jail and had him confessing all of those things under those substances. He was purging his soul. It was like he was in a confessional. He had to confess the sins of the devil. But no one would listen. Oh, my candle is popping. Okay, Ace of Cups, Six of Pentacles. Like I said, before this, you know, he was living it up. You know, was loving his life. Not that it was the best life, but life was good. Money was great. You know, under the table money, okay, money that couldn't have been accounted for. He was making large amounts of money. He was doing great. And like I said, just, you know, remember the Jonathan Odie that sat in that interrogation room did not look like the Jonathan Odie that worked for that adult service. He had been through a lot. By the time he made it to that room, he looked like 10 miles of bad road. But it's because he had seen some things. He had been through some things. Like I said, he felt like he had copulated with the devil himself. And then here it is, the Five of Pentacles and the Fool. Literally, it was like a, how do I describe this? It's like when they were together, it was an energetic transfer. It wasn't like it was a regular carnal experience. It was like a sexual, spiritual destiny swap. So after he slept with this man, because I'm not getting the energy of Cassie. It's like after he slept with this man, after he slept with Diddy, somehow, some way, Diddy mounted him and took his energy. And when he took his energy, he took his abundance. I don't think this man had ever experienced a ritual before. Like, he didn't have the words for it. He didn't understand it. He didn't know what that actually was. He may have heard of it. He probably would have been one of those people that would have told you you were a conspiracy theorist and you were crazy, until it happened to him. And after he was intimate with this person, all of the good luck, the dharma, everything that was on him, the money, even, his sexual performance, like everything changed. Just literally, this man harnessed his energy. And kept it. I know this sounds strange, but I'm telling you that it was ritualistic. And somehow, some way, in that ritual, when he mounted him, he siphoned him of his energy. And it took the abundance right off of him. He was never the same after that moment. A lot of what this man does is ritualistic. Yeah. So here it is, this is why he was brought in. He was paid a very large amount to come in, the lovers, to be with Cassie. That was what the original arrangement was supposed to be. Somehow, some way, Diddy got what he wanted. He always gets what he wants. I feel like things got hazy. Like, after certain substances were taken, because I get that Diddy offered the substances to enhance the situation, enhance the mood. That was the guise that it was under, but it was actually done to break down the fourth wall, the barrier that protects you spiritually, so that he could harvest when he mounted. My spirit guides are literally showing me Aleister Crowley. Like, this is something that he had learned from Aleister Crowley on how to do sex magic and how to harvest energy. And he had become very proficient in this. It was done to him and it was taught to him. And then instead of him teaching others the way that he learned it, he just kept harvesting. That's why he had to keep on and keep on and keep on and keep on doing this to people, because without this energy, he runs dry. So for him, it's not necessarily about the pleasure of it. It's the power that is derived from it. How did he learn how to do this? Where did this start? Whoo, sweet baby Jesus. Now, the Fool is the beginning of the tarot deck. For those of you who don't know tarot, everything starts with the Fool. The Fool, okay, is who starts the journey, or how the journey starts. Baby, I can't make this up. The journey started with his father. His father's energy was siphoned and mounted. This started off from familial ties, but it ended up being perfected through studying Aleister Crowley. Allegedly. Okay? Allegedly. Since we're on YouTube. All things said are alleged. Ooh. Baby. It's like as soon as this experience was over, he knew he had to do whatever he had to do. Because, see, this is a jovial, situation. So he may have even been like, okay, so I guess this is going to be a threesome or whatnot. I came here for this, but this is going to be a threesome. This jovial situation, this party, this turn up. He immediately was like, oh no, I got to get the hell away from here. I got to get away from these people, places, and things as fast as I possibly can. Lord, they said when he came to. So there may have been times throughout this ordeal where he may not have even been coherent himself. Like lost memory somehow. You see this? The Father's energy in the Tower. Falling over the Page of Cups in a Chariot. I'm going to end this reading here because this was already heavy and this is going somewhere dark. And it's going back to Diddy's childhood and the spirit that was mounted on him as a child. I need to clear my energy, y'all. Thank you for joining the part 6 of the Life After Diddy, well, Life After Puffy series, pardon me. And this is the deep dive around Jonathan Odie and Life After Puffy. Just wow. Angel, spirit guides, and ancestors, put a heavenly hedge of protection around everyone that is in the sound of my voice that can hear or see this video. Keep them all safe, including me, from all hurt, harm, and danger, seen and unseen. Cleanse the energy of everybody that has heard this message. And put a fiery hedge of angelic protection around Jonathan Odie so that he can clear and cleanse his energy and God can give him back the energy that was stolen from him by this entity that we know as Sean Puffy Combs. I bring this reading to a close. This reading is adjourned. Please take all the energy back to the portal and close the portal behind you. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who watched. Many blessings to you. I'll see you in the next part of this series.